ガツンとくるやつでいこう。湘南に過ぎない。
性格が全てを。
そうよ、一体人事をなす。頑張って。ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
涙雨ひっ降りてあふれる。唯一の救い。
動じないで。答え見つけてごらん。
全てが消える。
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
力こそ希望だ。
2倍速ってこんなもん。動揺しちゃダメ。
ないだろうか。引導を渡す。騙されたのか。
ガツンとくるやつでいこ
う。またか。新たなる未来。
そうよ、一体頑張ってね。ガツンとくるやつでいこ
う。涙雨降りてあふれる渡り川。過去を飲み込め。
動揺しちゃダメ。愚者千年不器用遊び尽くさ。答え見つけてごらん。
その瞬間朝露と消え失せる。
ガツンとくるやつでいこ
う。この手で偉大なる新世界を築く。
このスピードで遅すぎる。関東一斉人事をなす。清掃後方頑張ってね。
ここに来たのはないだ渡り。引導を渡す。騙されたのか。
厄介そう。ガツンとくるやつでいこう。
性格が全てを。
砲丸を持ってみるべし。消化勝利。動揺しちゃダメ。
出発の時間。
かくれんぼしよっか。愚者千年不器用遊び尽く さん、答え見つけてごらん。
その瞬間、朝露と消えうさ涙雨。降りてあふるる渡り川。唯一の救い。
ガツンとくるやつでいいか。先に占ってみる。極数地雷。
この手で偉大なる新世界を築く。
安心して優しくするから。頑張ってね。
ここに来たのはナイダのためなので、引導を渡す。
敵が日本はっ
過去を飲み込め。
動揺しちゃダメ。
その瞬間、朝露と消えうさ
いや
涙雨。降りてあふるる渡り川。ほとばしる過去の伝線。
少し静かにしてくれない？あの人たちいつまで位置を見張って。
汽車市場が閑散としてるって思わない？
Okay, time to get back onto my quest.
もう少しここにいさせて。この体で。
カンパニーの人前に気を張りなさい。私の顔に泥を塗ったら許さないわよ。カンパニーの上層部が何が起こってるの？
それは惜しい。ぜひ私に契約。まだ遊びたいもん。やった、当たったぞ。身の程知らずの小娘め、また俺に金を持ってきたのか？
バカなこと言ってないでさっさと始めましょう。この1回の勝負で
おう、ずいぶん威勢がいいな。
勝った。
バカ、ありえない。
本当だった。
やった、当たったぞ。
ドロシー、君にプレゼントがあるんだ。これ。素敵なネックレス。猫名刺？すごく綺麗。私が猫名刺のネックレスが好きだってどうしてわかったの？しかも紫色で、まるでパパが若い頃にママに送ったネックレスみたい。他の人に話したことなんてないのに、どうしてデルは知ってるの？
Hello. Nothing much. How about you?
僕と付き合ってくれないかな？いいよ。
Ah, cool. It's been going pretty well. It's 2.3 came out yesterday or yesterday night, so I did a little bit yesterday, but now I'm doing more of the quest so far. I haven't enjoyed it as much as 2.2, but we'll see. Like obviously, I think I'm just at the beginning, so we'll see how it shakes out. But but, it's, but I do enjoy it. There's a few things that I'm just like, I wish they were a little more clear about Penacony. But, and then my personal life, everything's going fine. Just getting ready, getting excited for Dawn Trail. It comes out in a little over a week. I like the timeline of Penacony itself. Like they are incredibly vague about it. Like, so I actually did look up the good book, and they're like, oh yeah, 1,000 years ago it was a prison planet, but like we don't know when they revolted and when the family took over, and because like throughout the entire thing it was like, oh, it was the three Trailblazers, and Mikhail was one of them, and like all this shit happened, and it's like I would think, oh, this happened hundreds of years ago, right? This is when they were first creating the dream and all that shit. So that's clearly hundreds of years ago. But like the way some of them talk about him and the way they talk, it feels like they knew him, like they personally knew him or interacted with him. But like, wasn't this hundreds of years ago? Why is everyone talking like they talked to Mikhail ages ago, right? Like why they talk, they interact and like talk about it like it happened recently within their lifetime. So it's kind of confusing because I'm like, well, none of you should have been alive at that time. Like, why are you making it seem like you know this stuff? And they're just not clear about specifically when they revolted. Like, if 1,000 years ago was the prison planet, you'd think that's when all this shit happened. But then yeah, so it's confusing shit like that where I'm just like, that doesn't make sense. Like I'm just not. It's just confusing because it's like they're not clear about it, and it's the way they talk about it makes it seem like it happened recently, but like it should have happened way too long ago. And then the other thing that was the big kind of thing that stuck in my throat was the cornerstones. So Topaz's Aventurines and Jade's Stone. They presented them multiple times, and in the beginning part of 2.3, they talk about how important they were. Like Jade even said, like those cornerstones are as precious as their life. But I have no clue why. Like, why are they so precious? Like, what about them is important? Like, Aventurine gave his away, and so we're like, oh, okay. Like, is it just that they're valuable? Are they worth a few $100 million or something? So it's like, oh shit. Like, sure, if you're gonna if you're gonna give these away or act as collateral, sure. Like, you know. Well, I mean, it's just something that sticks in my throat. Obviously, like in the grand scheme of things, who cares, right? Like, but they just bring it up, and you're just like, oh, it's this important. I'm like, why? Why is it that important? Like, I mean, I do enjoy the game. I enjoy the game a lot. It's a lot of fun. I like how silly it can be at times, but there are some times when the story is just kind of like it's a one sentence thing where it's just like, yeah, you could just give a one liner of explaining why these things are important because like in 2.2 it was a whole big thing. Aventurine gave his stones. Yeah, I play Genshin. I play Final Fantasy 14. I play a lot of RPGs. So recently I played Sandland, Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, Dragon's Dogma 2. I've gone to Spider-Man 1, the the remastered version, Miles Morales, since I have Spider-Man. Nah, I don't like Souls games. Souls games are boring as fuck to me. I play games for a story, and Souls games have no story. And I understand I'm being hyperbolic. Yes, technically there is a story, but the story is practically non-existent in those games. And for me, like, it's the story that compels me to play it, right? It's like if something's annoying or whatever, right? If it's grindy, if it's just not enjoyable, I haven't either. I have the game, but I just haven't gotten around to it. So if a story is grindy or whatever, like if it's grindy, like in this game where it's like, oh, you have to level up or something like that, or you have to do these things, it's fine if it's challenging. Like Dragon's Dogma 2 is an action combat game, right? So I'm fine, but it's just enjoyable, and it was like not too punishing. So it's not super punishing, and like the story is compelling me. It's like, oh, what happened with the dragon? Like, I need to go figure out the dragon. I need to do this and that shit. So, no thanks. So it's like that's the kind of stuff. So like the boring parts of the stuff I don't like as much. Like generally I don't like action combat as much, but like I'll still do it if the story is compelling enough. Like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth, like I played Final Fantasy 16 as well. Like that was pure action combat. Like yeah, but like and I don't particularly like action combat, but it's fine. I'll do it. But the story was so good. I was like, I want to know what happens next. Um, and so I do it. But like Souls games are just like, okay, here you are. You go kill these things. Everything's super punishing, and there's nothing to like motivate you to do anything. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm not motivated to do anything, so I'll just fuck right off then. Uh, Not really. Well, I guess I read. So like, not surprisingly, the story in games is what compels me to play them. Well, yeah, in line with that, I also like reading as well. So I like stories pretty much in all formats. So that's why I like this game. I mean, this game has a pretty interesting story. Genshin 2 is, not really. I don't particularly care. I mean, I like it in as much as it exists, but I'm not going to go out of my way to like. And I've been to museums and shit, but like, I wouldn't choose to go to like an art museum or anything like that. Like, I don't particularly care about art. Like, I can appreciate the technical skill that goes into something, but if like, so if I like, if I see someone draw a landscape, I'm like, oh, okay, that must have been like, that must. I can appreciate the skill that went into drawing a landscape, but like, I don't care. Like, it's whatever, right? Yeah, I mean, I'm not really much of a, I'm not really much for it. I appreciate the cartoony art style. Like, I appreciate the cel shaded art style of this game. I like the realism in Dragon's Dogma 2, the realistic character models of the Spider-Man games, uh, the the style of like Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the epicness of 16. Like, I mean, obviously all those games have art, character animations, and you know, so like I appreciate it in that sense, but not really like in and of itself. I appreciate art for how it's used in the things I like, but it's just like, yeah, it's not really a big draw for me. But yeah, so that's why I'm looking forward to Dawn Trail coming out early access next Friday, because that will be a new story. So I'm curious how what the story will be.
よかった。本当に願いが叶った。行こうドロシー。外に出て一緒に12の時の景色を見よう。
行こ
And that was the thing too. Is like so many people were against Final Fantasy 16 because it was a action combat, and like even though and they're like, oh, Final Fantasy should be. This is not my Final Fantasy. It's not turn based. I want bring back turn based RPGs, and it's just like okay, like I prefer a turn based RPG too over action combat, but I'm not going to shit on the game because it's not. Like, I'll just appreciate the game for what it is. Um, and then you get the crazy people who are just like, man, Square Enix never makes turn-based RPGs, completely forgetting the fact that like Square Enix releases a turn-based RPG, at least one turn-based RPG a year. But then you get all these people thinking, oh, Square Enix doesn't. It's like, really? Well, if you actually look at what games they produce a shitload of turn-based RPGs. And like in the Nintendo Direct thing, there was that whole they had Dragon Quest 1 and 2, the bundle, 3 remake, and like Neo Fantasian or something like that. So another turn-based RPG. So it's like, yeah, they're releasing a lot, releasing and re-releasing some, like a lot in a pile, but like they produce a lot all the time. People are just like crazy. They just don't want to like see the truth. And some people get too focused on the game, and get too obsessed with a game or its franchise, and just can't enjoy it for what it is. You all go see my.
折り紙の小鳥。ちょっとあんた。早く降りて。みんな見てるじゃん。今はタイミングが悪いかも。ごめんね。後で時間があったら声を。
Yeah, I mean that's why I like this game too. It's like it's a good story, but it also is really silly at times, and I enjoy that. It's a lot of fun.
今はタイミングがごめんね。
But yeah, lately there's been a lot of really good games coming out. So there's going to be Dawn Trail coming out, and then well, I mean, there's Genshin's Natlan's going to come out next in a month or so. So many cool games.
はい、奴はピノコニーの太陽の時に隠れていました。身分を偽り、折り紙大学の教授になっていたのです。 ミリーとも話をつけました。身柄の引き渡しに関する手続きについてはそちらにお任せします。どうやって捕まえたかですか。22年も奴を追いかけ、銀河の隅々まで走り回りました。まさか最後にここでこんな形で。とりあえず切りますね。相棒、自分に。
あの人たちの願いは確かに。
But yeah, like as I was saying before too, it's like yeah, because they mentioned the cornerstones, they mentioned like oh they seem important, but like they just don't explain why or even what they are. It's like are they just gems? Like is that it? Like are they just really expensive gems and so they're important? Like are they just like a representative of your power? Like do you need the like are they like a key or something? Like so like they're how you get into the building or onto the certain like floor that you work in? Like do they have some actual purpose? Like we don't know what they are. They're just like yeah, but they're using them as like betting chips essentially. They're using them as collateral in other shit. So it's like yeah, like maybe they aren't important. Like it's hard to say because like if they were that important, you wouldn't use them as collateral. And if or you know obviously it does because I get things. They just don't tell you what they mean, what they are, and so but then at the same time they just keep telling you that they're important. So they're just like oh yeah, they're important. We're not going to tell you why it's important or even what these things are, but they're important, and we're going to use them consistently. And we're going to bring them up repeatedly, but not tell you why. Um, and so it's like, okay, well, and before it didn't really matter, right? It's like, oh, because the aventurine used it as collateral. And it's like it's whatever, right? But then like in this one, in Topaz's and Jade's conversation, they mentioned, oh, because they got Jade's stone onto the ship, she's able to use like her power through it. She's able to like, do something with it. It's like, okay, so clearly these aren't just rocks. These aren't just like, you know, a rock worth $100 million or something like that. So they have some sort of, there is something about them, but like we just don't know. And maybe that's it. Maybe they will explain. Maybe they just are keeping it a mystery. Maybe I should get to the end of 2.3 and then they'll be like, finally, oh, yep, this is what they're for. So maybe I'm just being a little too impatient.
あなたが言ってた人たちを見つけたよ。ポーンショップ翡翠を訪れた後、あの人たちの願いは確かに叶ってた。
I mean, I do find this a little weird too. Oh, she was like, oh, go to these people. These people came to me, and now their dreams have come true. It's like, well, first of all, like some of them did say their dream came true, but like, is that what they wished for? For like, how do we even know that those are her clients? Like, we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt, and Jade literally told us exactly who they were and where they were, and so we are 100% sure that you know these are the right people. Like, we don't know what they wished for, and we don't know what they paid for that wish, right? But it's just, but like, cause like when she came in, she's like, "Oh, I want to live longer." Jade was like, "Ah, it's too expensive. You don't have anything worth it. Why don't you go talk to these people and see how they were able to fulfill their wishes?" And it's like, well, yeah, but like, I don't know the terms of the condition of what they wanted. It's like since you don't specifically know what they wished for and you don't know what they paid for, you have no frame of reference to establish a cost or like wish power, you know, whatever. So yeah, you just can't do anything.
でもあなたが私に何を見せたいのか。
焦らないで。これはただポーンショップ翡翠が本物であると知って
Okay, so that's cool. But again, like, we don't know that you had that power, right? Like, oh, you had the power to grant their wishes. Like, we see things like, especially because especially the first one. The first one was actually no, even the second one, and even the third one. Honestly, really, like all of them, what all of them wanted could have been done without her, because one was just she won a bet. So it's like, oh, okay, well, random chance could have just had her win that bet. For the second one, he asked a girl out, and she said yes. And you could say, oh, maybe he asked for information about the thing that he gave her, and you could argue that the thing that he gave her is the reason why she said yes. But she could have also been willing to say yes even before that, right? Like, even if he didn't give her some expensive thing or some rare thing, she might have said yes already. So we have no proof. And then the final one was like this guy made a deal with the family, and it's like, okay, but like we don't know anything about it. Like maybe he had already set up things so that he could have made that deal with the family anyway, like without her help. Now, again, we don't know the conditions, so maybe he was like, oh man, I need to make this deal with the family, but I can't get a hold of them. And Jade's like, oh, actually, I know one of their numbers. Here you go. And she was the connection. Sure. Then yes, she was intrinsic to his success, but like the other two. Like, I mean, first one was luck. Like, how, like, what, she improved the first person's luck? She may or may not have had a hand in getting these two together, even though the girl might have would have said, the girl could have said yes regardless.
デルは裕福な家の子息でずっとドロシーに片思いしていたんだけど、カンパニーの情報網と人脈を使えば簡単なことだったわ。でも
Yeah, I mean, that's so stupid. Like, what a fucking moron. Like, yeah, just give your entire fortune. It's like, why? Like, your entire fortune, like, that's dumb. Because again, like, he's gonna get kicked out of the dream bubble and evicted. It's like, yeah, like, you sure you love her and you want to be with her, but maybe don't, like, maybe all but maybe just a big portion of your fortune. Also, like, why would you even go for that? Like, to find something that she likes? It's like, what?
ギャンブルが好きなステイシーは絶大な幸運を手に入れたいと願っていた。ポーンショップ翡翠を出た瞬間から宇宙中のカジノはステイシーという名前を覚え。
That's okay. So for the first one, the guy giving up all his wealth, that's stupid, right? Like, it's also something that anyone could do. Any information broker, anyone who knew that girl could have figured out maybe what she wanted. This one, how do we even know you were able to do this? Like, how are you able to make everyone in the world remember her and assumingly remember her because of her victories, but all her friends and like parents and siblings sever tie and be impossible to make any refunds? How is she able to do that? Right? Like, how? And I get it. It's very monkey paw-ish. It's essentially, yes, I'm a monkey paw. I'm a living monkey paw. I mean, okay, so the first one, that was dumb. The guy was a moron for even accepting that kind of deal. The second one, I have no clue how she's even able to do that. That's kind of weird. Like, that's essentially on the realm of magic, and so far we haven't really seen magic of that level. Like, it'd be one thing if she was a scion of remembrance, like even Black Swan can't do what she did, so like it makes no sense. And then for the third one, like, she's like, oh, he's gonna come back to me. It's like, why? Like, he would have forgotten all of it. Okay, so he's forgotten his time. So basically, he caught the guy. The criminal is in prison or whatever, and he won't remember it. It's like, he won't remember all he sacrificed, but like, so what? Like, so he won't remember all he sacrificed. So he's gonna live a nice life, right? Like, he won't remember the pain and suffering he had. He's gonna live a nice, calm life. he doesn't need to be a detective anymore. Like, he just won't be a detective anymore. Like, that third one seems like the best deal. Like, okay, so he has he lost his memory. He's just going to live a normal life. He doesn't need to remember his suffering. He doesn't need to remember his accomplishments. Like that, like whether he remembers them or not, his accomplishments still happened. So, like, I don't know. Like, this seemed silly. But yeah, essentially she's a monkey paw. And that, I think that was the desire thing. That was her whole thing. Like, when her jade cornerstone was brought in, she was able to see desires. But it's like, what? What is she?
グラモスの鉄器の生き残り AR26710
全然驚かないんだね。
あら、思ったより落ち着いてるわね。
Do all of the Glamot's iron cavalry have entropy loss syndrome, or is this unique to her? Oh, I see. So it's an everything type thing. That's smart.
そうしたその代価は敵たちは人とみなされていなかったから当然だ。でもあなたは違う。今は性格ハンターであり、ホタルであり、生きている生命体だもの。生きたいと思うのも当然でしょうけど。
カンパニーならどうにかできるって。
希望がないわけじゃない。これ以上は言えないわ。
I mean, I'm surprised. I mean, I guess she's here. I guess that makes more sense. But, like, I guess they weren't. I mean, I guess the Stellar Hunters were on Herta's ship. Like, Herta's a genius. Herta's part of the Society of Geniuses. Herta knows Ron May. Ron May is a genius when it comes to biological creatures. Like, if you can get a hold of Ron May, wouldn't she be able to fix this shit? Like, hell, getting a hold of any of the geniuses. Sure, Jade, is an information broker at her core, so she's obviously able to, cast a wide net to find, these things. But, like, the genius network, if you can get a hold of any one of the geniuses and get them maybe to reach out to the others, you probably have a great shot there without having to deal with whatever bullshit she is saying.
なるほどね。だから私には10日の担保が出せないって言ったんだ。私自身、あなたが求めているのは、私が生きていくために仲間を。
残念だけど、そういうわけでもないの。仲間。いい言い方ね。この言葉で性格反対にもっと興味が湧いたわ。あなたたちはそれぞれ特別な立場がある。10の石神がダイヤモンドに従うように、あなたたちにもリーダーがいるんでしょ？それは一体どんな人物なのかしら。
Oh, maybe that's a clue. Stone hearts. Maybe the cornerstones are literally their hearts. Maybe that's why they're more precious. Maybe their cornerstones are like their heart that was removed from their body and crystallized by maybe Quiploth's power or something. And that's why they're stone hearts, is because these cornerstones are functionally their hearts. And that's why they're as precious as their own life. It's the kind of thing where they could have just said that, right? At any point when using them, someone could have said, "Oh my God, it's that thing. Isn't that functionally your heart? Won't you die without that?" And then them saying no, whatever, right? They could have given some sort of one-liner to explain what the hell they were, to show how important they are.
他の性格ハンターたちも終焉の運命を歩みながら運命とは逆の方向に。機会があればあなたたち全員に私の質屋に来てもらいたい。
それはダイヤモンドがカンパニーに内緒で性格ハンターに出した招待状だと思っていいの？
いいえ。できればカンパニーを代表するものでも 戦略投資部を代表するものでもなく、私個人からのお誘いだと考えてちょうだい。
性格ハンターとカンパニーにはいろいろ接点があるけど、銃の赤心と関わったことはない。私の正体を知ってるなら、仲間がこの部屋を監視してる可能性があることも分かってるよね。なのにどうして捨て駒になるリスクを背負っても。
それはね、結局のところ私たちは同類だからよ。でも性格ハンターや請求列車とは違って、私たちが集まっているのはそれぞれ必要なものを手に入れるため。10の赤心は10人とも異なる出自を持ち、それぞれに帰するところがある。その道のりは短いかもしれないし、長いかもし、そしてダイヤモンドは約束してくれた。孫悟の指令の体験を10人に分け与え、その穴を奇跡で埋めてくれると。
Oh, okay. So my theory was somewhat correct. I was thinking that the cornerstones were crystallization of Quickloth's power. But I guess I mean, to a degree, it kind of is. But it's the power of the Emanator of preservation. But who's the Emanator? Is Diamond the Emanator? Did he split his own Emanator power into 10 pieces?
肉体は弱くとも、我が心は輝く石のように固い。
Oh, okay. So it's yeah. My heart is unyielding like the monolith. So I guess Diamond is the Emanator of preservation. He split his own power as an Emanator into 10 pieces. I guess one he kept for himself, and then 9 he gave to men who above all else desire power. Okay.
これで分かったかしら。これはただのそれによって赤心はより揺るぎないものとなった。そしていずれ訪れるであろう。
I mean, okay, I guess. I mean, it definitely shows why they're important, right? Because they are a crystallized form of the Emanator's power. I don't know. They could have mentioned that before. Like, they've just mentioned them too many times while saying that they're important without telling us why. Like, this is fun. Like, I'm glad they told us. I am glad. But I kind of wish they told. And even then, it wasn't. They didn't explicitly say that that's what it was. That it's the crystallite. Or that diamond is the emanator. Although they do allude to it, but let's just assume that's being told. Even so, I think it's a little too late. They should have mentioned it earlier. But at least I'm glad they did mention it finally.
お嬢さん、すぐに答えを出す必要はないわ。さっきも言ったように、
もし運命が本当にそのページを開いたら、また会うことになるだろうね。でも残念ながら、この質屋は私の願いを叶えられない。私がピノコニーで最後にやろうとしていることも。
レディー翡翠、担保として約束していたものを引き渡。
ピノコニーの未来を決める階段、思ってたよりずっとスムーズにいったな。議論なんてほとんどしなかった。もうすぐ調和セレモニーの開会式がこの飛行艇にはお宝もたくさんある。収穫は上々だね。
忘れない方がいいぜ。俺は一発で。
それは光栄だ。安心してくれ。僕が一番嫌いなのは賭け事でイカサマをすることだから。
それが。
おや、誰が来たかと思えば請求列車の大英雄。
おお、あんたも来た。こいつは俺が追ってるキューティーと関係があんだよ。ほら、なんつったか。そうそう、敵の敵はまあいい。表に出せねえ話は一旦置いとくとしよう。調和セレモニーの雰囲気をぶち壊すわけにはいかねえからな。
賛成。ところで開拓者ちゃん、調和セレモニーでファミリーが正式。僕の任務はカンパニーが介入するための突破口を。君たちがドリームリーフに滞在してた時、ただ一つ残念なのはあの指令が手加減ってものを知らなかった。
大したことじゃねえから気にすんな。悪い奴を懲らしめるのは一番大事なことだからな。今回のことがあって俺ら巡回レンジャーもまた動き出した。これからそうだな。
市場開拓、これから面白くなりそうだ。
サンキュー。
僕は遠慮しておくけど、
おや、君は宇宙ステあのギャンブラーのような小賢しい真似はしない方。ほら、もうすぐ調和セレモニーが始まるんだろう。せっかくの機会だ。行ってくるといい。カンパニーと学会の役員は僕たちのことを戦略的パートナーと定義している。だが僕、その観点でいくとアベンチュリンは優秀な生徒ではないが、決して当変木というわけでもない。残念だがそんな質問をするということは、学習の真の目的、適度に休息を取り入れた方がいいという説には科学的根拠がある。関連する論証は学術雑誌「星とともに」第31467号の21ページを参考にするといい。知識を吸収するのはより良い人生を送るためだ。学会のアホどものように本末転倒になっては
この黄金に輝く時代よ。
お名前はかねがね伺っております。 しぶり。また会えたね。最近どう？だと思った。君たちその場にいられなかったのがこの船。本当に賑やかでいいよね。いつか変身なあ、わかった。アベンチュリンの奇跡のことか。10の赤心の奇跡の能力はそれぞれ違うんだけど、中には思考を読み取ったり、相手の欲望を操ったり。
Yeah, like so. I mean, I do get it, right? So, like, obviously, this is the patch where they're going to talk about them. And I'm not saying you have to like do this type of explanation then, but like, if anyone could have just mentioned what the cornerstones were and why they're so valuable, because they just said they're valuable. And so essentially, there was like three instances where like they bring them out, they show them, they're like, oh look, but then they like an Aventurine changing. He took out his cornerstone and did this. I'm like, well, why? Like, he just took out a rock. Like, why is he able to do this? Like, it's kind of confusing, right? They just kind of offhandedly reference that they're important and they have powers, but not why. So it's good that they're finally answering it. But like, and I'm not saying they should have done all this then, but just a quick, one-liner of what they are and why they're important in 2.2 would have been nice.
そう考えると、ベロブルグではブローニャさんが間に合ってくれてよかった。あと少しでも遅かったら、私たち友達になれてなかったかもしれないからね。この船、本当に。
こんにちは。元気なお嬢さん。あなたのお名前は？問題ないわ。では、美月なのかさん。あなたの願いを聞かせてくれる？それを叶えるために何を差し出せるのかも。とても簡単で叶えやすそうな願いね。あなたの願いを叶えるために必要なものは、それは二足歩行をする生物で、毛は黒く、丸い頭に長い耳が生えているわ。雑食で少し情緒不安定。何より重要なのは、人間の言葉を理解し、その動物の尻尾を担保として持ってくれば、
I mean, what is it? Two-legged animal, black fur, round head, long ears. Is it Mickey Mouse? Is that what they're trying to say? Because that's the thing, is that it's the long ears. Like Mickey Mouse doesn't have long ears. He just has big round ears. And I'm not sure if it's omnivores. I'm not sure. I assume maybe it's so. I mean, it seems like Mickey Mouse probably, but like I haven't. But yeah, it's just the tough thing is that is she describing something that exists in the universe, or is she referencing something outside the universe? Is this breaking the fourth wall? It's also kind of confusing because it's like, okay, well, because like the black fur, like two-legged animal with black fur, round hair has kind of like Mickey, but like Mickey is also sometimes drawn more like mouse-like, so it's not really a round head. But And he doesn't really have long ears, he just has big ears. So maybe it's not, and it's something else. But I'm also not sure, like, when describing it's omnivorous and prone to mood swings. Which I'm like, I'm not. Was that a thing from that Mickey was known for?
縁があったらまた会いましょう。七死人さん。
ご所望のサービスがありましたらお気軽にお申し付けください。
Poop deck.
それは惜しい。ぜひ私に。
ピノコニーにカンパニーの上層部が全員調和セレモニーが延期されてしまうなんてね。
探せば見返りはある。
これが伝説の貴重石号。
ほとばしる過去の伝線。 痛い痛い。
またお会いしましたね。アンロック？実に詩的で美しい。悪鳥を打ち砕いた偉業については聞きました。胸が痛くなるような話でしたが、準備の信奉者があのサンデーという方は準備のお恥ずかしい話なのですが、 エナの夢があまりにもリアルで、移住と僕は今回準備の試練。ありがとうございます。
セレモニーはまだ始まらないし、この声は
この前も見かけたけど。あれは君だったよ。箱を開けたり風船を割ったり夢の並び替えをしたりしてるのを見たから見間違いじゃないと思う。ねえ、調和セレモニーが始まるまでまだ時間がある。2つの殺人事件、カンパニーの死者との対決、七死人の道の伝承、アイオンに代わって楽園を作ろうとする秩序の残党、最後には美しい夢さえも打ち砕いた波乱万丈の休暇だったんじゃない？よかったね。難しい問題を解決できて。でも調和セレモニーが始まったらまた旅に出るんでしょ？進むべき道はきっと見つかるよ。性格ハンターに入る前、エリオはこの旅が生きる方法を教えてくれるって言ってた。だから私は生きて情けないことに方向性は間違えちゃったけど、カンパニーの戦略投資部のジェイドさんって知ってる？それで彼女に取引を持ちかけられたんだけど。ちゃんと分かってる。私はもちろん生きてたい。でも運命がそうさせてくれないの。だからその借りを返してほしいんだ。それを誰かに転嫁して第三者を巻き込むんじゃなくてね。だってこれは私個人と運命との問題だから。そういえばずっと君にちゃんと謝らないとって思ってたんだ。どんなに小さな嘘でも人を傷つける裏切りには変わりないから。本当？そっか。私にとっては正直に話すことより隠すことの方が。
あの娘だ、かかれ。調和セレモニーが始まる前にこんな
とこまで追ってくるなんて。お別れ。脚本の結末はまだ訪れてない。きっとまた会えるから。
蛍、無事だといいけど。蛍のことは後でメッセージを送って確認するとして。ここに座ろう。やるべきことは全部終わったけど。まあいいか。
Oh, that's a cute emote.
よかった。蛍の。
ご来場の皆さん、ファミリーの皆さん、紳士こうして皆さんと顔を合わせ、今古白期におけるピノコニー最大の式典、調和セレモニーを迎えられることを、そして私個人、皆さんもお気づきかと思いますが、今回の調和セレモニーはこれまでとは違い、各クランの努力によりかつてない規模、それだけではありません。前回まではピノコニー大劇場で行われていた開会式では、ここでルーサン家当主のオーディアルファルファによる調和の活動への無視の奉仕に対して一緒に温かい拍手と、今回のセレモニーはなぜこれほどまでに特別な意味を持つのでしょうか。ご存知の通り、貴重赤号は美しい夢の異変により航行を中止。しかしピノコニー内外の人々が力を合わせたことにより、私たちはついに無境を正常な状態に戻すことができた。そして最後にもう一つ理由があります。皆さん、時計屋のことは覚えていますか？実はファミリーが今回のセレモニーのために力を尽くしたのは、この伝説的な人物を記念。ピノコニーの父、ラグウォーク・シャール・ミハイル。そう、宴の星が混乱の最中にあった時代、彼は仲間と共に空からやってくると、開拓を通じて私たちに自由のありかを教えてくれました。また彼らはピノコニーが今日の輝きを手に入れられたのも、時計屋が私たちの心の奥底に植えた開拓の精神があったから。この開拓の精神があるからこそ、私たちは使命を果たし、調和をより多くの人々に広めることができるのです。聞いてて気分がいいね。さすがうちら。そうそう、無敵無敵。今回美しい夢が正常に戻ったのも、開拓の大いなる助けがあったからに他なりません。請求列車の皆さんがいなければ、このそこで五大クランの全会一致を得て、ピノコニーのファミリーは全銀河のファミリーのメンバーを代表して七シビ、おお、いよいよかな。貴重赤号の所有権を請求列車に譲渡いたします。ほんの気持ちに過ぎませんが、どうぞお受け取りください。
Neat, free ship.
さあ皆さん、勇敢で恐れ知らずの七死人たちに 盛大な拍手とそれでは一緒に乾杯しましょう。調和、開拓、ピノコニーと銀河の未来、そして乾杯。乾杯。
あんな決定を下せるとは、あの小鳥も兄に負けていませんな。
でもしげちゃん、誰か忘れてない？この船に爆弾仕掛けたんだ。10分あげるから開けてごらん。
Oh, we just got this ship. And she's gonna blow it up? That's annoying.
爆弾がよりによってこんな時に伏線回収されるなんて、私一人じゃ絶対間に合わない。グループチャットでみんなに知らせないと。
Wait, what? It was Order that kept everyone from dying in the dream? That's what I find weird, though, because like Mikhail was the one who made the dream. So did Mikhail make a dream where people could die, and then the Oak family used Order to stop that from happening? Like, I mean, and that was the whole thing. The reason why Order was so unnoticed for the longest time is because the Order and Harmony were so closely related. So couldn't, like, Harmony also do that? But whatever, right? Like, I guess if that's what they were doing, maybe they still have a system in place to do the same. I don't. That's like a huge drop to be like, what? When was that ever mentioned? But whatever. Like, it's not a huge important thing, so I'm glad they mentioned it. It's like, okay, cool. Interesting.
準備はできた。地図を手がかりに爆弾を探そう。
今びっくりしたでしょ。ほっよっほっほっほいほっよっほっほっほい。今びっくりしたでしょう。
お待ちしておりました、しげちゃん様。おいらはここの与力、今は爆弾を演じてるんでさ。今から爆発しようとしてるってのに、そんなことが気になるんですか？さあさあ、お前さんに見つゴー !4、1! 重要なのそこですかい？驚きやしたか？予想外？それとも怖かったり？
少しだけど進展した。
のポニーの名探偵です。何かトラブルですか？喜んで力になりましょう。ただ残念ながらまだ2つほど未解決の事件がありますので。爆弾？どうしましょう。忘れてます。力を貸してください。あなたはドクターファイヤーと何度も顔を合わせているでしょう。それに今言った爆弾のこともありますし、あなたならドクターファイヤーが犯人だと証明できる証拠を見つけられるはずです。最初の事件はスラーダ工場放火事件。現場ではハンマー、人形、容器の半分ほどまで入った謎の液体が見つかりました。2つ目の事件はブルーオークション会場強盗事件。仮面をつけたボートが会場に押し入り、京急列車の破片を盗み、ハンマー、人形、そして腐りかけの燻製ニシンを会場に残していきました。以上が事件の概要です。あなたの判断を信じます。ピンポン正解。さすがおしげちゃん、すごく頑張ってるから一ついいことを教えてあげる。定石号へようこそ。私は危険な爆弾であり、公序良俗を乱すアウトローでもあります。ここで素晴らしい一日をお過ごしください。 だけの話なんだが、アウトローになったのは俺、あんたも感じたいか？ベイビー、儀式の準備は整った。耳の穴かっぽじってよく聞いとけ。話すかいいすか花火ちゃん、話すか。こんにちは、親愛なる役者さん。私のことは監督の人形と呼んでくれたまえ。これは映画のエンドロールでよく使って君は知らないかもしれないが、実は今回のピノコニーの騒動を演出したのは私なのだよ。このドラマの主役として今はどんな気持ちだね。遠慮なく言ってくれ。まあ実際にはストーリー上の制約があり、今の君はああ、それは私のせいだ。仮面の部署に第一花火大学にはそもそも映画演出学部なんてなかったばかりか。第一花火大学という大学すら存在していなかったんだ。ああ、花火のやつね。さて、君の質問に答えたところで、ストーリーを円滑に進めるため、ここに爆弾はないと。しかし悲しむことはない。君には素敵な。
もう時間がない。
ニーのファミリーは私とは決して君を諦め君に別れを告げることも問題に答えることができれば賢者は勇者を好む問題朝は4本足昼は2本足夜は3本足という気分正解勘のいいか
まずい。ガツンとくるやつでいこう。そうよ一体。バトル体験を改善このスピードで遅すぎる。世の万物に放りあり関と異性人事をなす
Yep, he did. Or maybe the other way around. Maybe Sparkle learned it from him.
動揺しちゃダメ。
ここに来たのはあなた。それとも運命の意志か。
愚者千年不器用遊び尽くさ答え見つけてごらん。
その瞬間朝露と消え失せる涙雨降りてあふれる渡り川
ガツンとくるやつでいこう。ことは己でなす消化勝利。頑張ってね。
出発の時間だ。
敵がリポップした。
涙雨降りてあふれる渡り川。
ブラザーファイヤーの邪悪な手先にも。
Nah, you never know what people might leave behind, and what free treasure might be under there. Well, I mean, it has it has a feet at either end. But yeah, like obviously, if you like from here just jumped on and like landed on the very end, yeah, you'd probably flip it up. But you never know. Like it could be that it's bolted on. Like you see those little like nubs. It could be that it's actually like drilled into the ground or otherwise secured into the. Because like this is a ship at the end of the day, and so like that's pretty much how like our actual boats are. Like they pretty much bolt everything down. So it could be that while it looks fancy and looks like they just brought in a table, it could actually be bolted into the ground. Same for the couch and stuff. Uh-oh, I've broken the game. I can't actually... Oh yeah, no, this is the way to get out. Okay, there we go. Got my cursor back. Yeah. Oh yeah, I mean, like, obviously I'm saying how they realistically could have done it, but like, this is, I mean, we're still in the dream. Like, it could just be whatever. That was actually the other weird thing, is they give us the ship, but like, isn't the ship in the dream? So like, what's the point of giving us a dream ship? I was thinking here. I thought there'd be something. On the other side, there was a bird. Okay, I think I found all the extra ones, because yeah, there were still some... Yep, it's just 2D. That's why they made the Dreamscape, because they wanted to escape their 2D realm. It's interesting, yeah, you only needed a few of the dolls, but they had a bunch of extra shit, so... Let's try to look to see if there's any other ones before I continue the story. I think. There should be one more trash can, too. But I don't know if it's just going to pop up once this is all resolved. Okay, I guess that's it. Time to talk to Firefly.
あれはホタル。
Gosh. Oh no, this is the room.
来た。来ないで。あの爆弾は危険なの。それに君がここに現れたってことは、簡単に説明するね。今から30分くらい前に私のとこに発信者不明のメッセージが届いて、すぐに駆けつけたの。美しい夢は秩序の庇護を失ってるから、ここであれが爆破、多分作った人以外には解除でき。実は全く覚えてる。脚本には私が言う、多分だけど、これもう知ってるかもしれないけど。
I see. So she's probably gonna say, "Oh, okay. What I'm gonna do is I'll get in Sam, and then I'll take the bomb, fly away somewhere, explode myself."
そのおかげで私には他の夢追い人にはできないことができるんだ。奥室の重圧が与える苦痛に耐えることができれば、 美しい夢の外にある原始の記憶。あの爆弾を無境の奥深く、できる限り深い人の。
I mean, she did say she was going to die 3 times. Obviously, that means she's going to die.
ファイアフライの走行ならカウントダウンが終わるまでに私をその場所に運べるはずだから。今のところこれが最善かつ最も合理的な選択肢なの。だってこの長い物語の最後はいい言葉を教えてあげる。いわゆる不可能と呼ばれるものはまだ訪れていないだけのことだ。ユミさん、今ありえないことがたくさん起こってるけど、そういうのって本当にありえないことなのかな。私はね、ただ
Then there was a revolution, and they, revolted, and it became independent, and they created the dream. This happened ages ago, hundreds of years ago. Shouldn't have. It should have been hundreds of years ago. But this girl, so Acheron sees a boy holding a flower, saying, prepared by Aunt Jessie for the watchmaker, and the comrade he'd missed his whole life. What? Like, how is Aunt Jessie alive to know the watchmaker? Or how is the little boy alive to see the watchmaker? Or like, I don't know. Like, it's just so weird where they're just like, far too many people seem to have known or interacted with or seem far too knowledgeable about like the revolutionary times and the watchmaker and the Trailblazers. Like, wasn't this like something hundreds of years ago? Like, And of course, it could be like, oh, okay, well, maybe it's, Mikhail, Misha. Maybe it's Misha. Maybe that's the boy she met. Maybe is Misha, and so okay, sure, that would make sense, right? And maybe that is it. Maybe it's Misha who's the one she met, and then of course Misha knowing people from Mikhail's history would make sense too. Oh, Aunt Jessie was maybe she was one of the Trailblazers. I forget. I know they mentioned their names. I just forget what her name was. Maybe that was it.
あなたの願いはずっと誰かが望んでいた通り、今ピノコニーの長い夜は明けた。前途は必ずしも順風満帆ではないかもしれないが、ティエルナ、これでもう帰れるだろう。
Well, I think she was the one who like went into like the bomb or something, or like it went into the Stellaron. I think she was a Stellaron researcher, but yeah, like she was the one researching dreams that like went into the black hole thing essentially and basically died. I assume Jessie was her name. We know that Acheron met the other one of them. Like, so there were two of them. And it's like, okay, sure, Acheron met the other one who's that like weird shadowy dude. And it's like, okay, cool, that guy's existence is kind of weird. So it's like, it's understandable that maybe he lived for hundreds of years in this weird, like, ghost-like form. Fine, sure, whatever. So Acheron knowing, I think that was Tiernan. But there's just been other moments where it's just like they mentioned something. Oh shit, there's the dog. Oh yeah, I gotta go back and... I want to say goodbye to Acheron. No, it was one of the Trailblazers. So, it was one of the three Trailblazers. So Mikhail, this girl, and the other dude, who were the ones who made the dream with Mikhail, and like I guess were there when Penacony like revolted. She was, I think that's the Aunt Jessie. Maybe I don't know if the and I think she was like researching not necessarily black holes, but like if you look at the back of this place, there was like a black hole. It looked like a black hole, but it's not. It's like some. And I think that was Jessie, and that's how she. Well, they haven't quite literally said she died, but like she went in and it has not come out, and it's been, hundreds of years. So, yeah, probably dead. Oh, I see. That's why this thing appeared. I thought I missed one of them because yeah, these bloodhounds have appeared multiple times. I think there was like at least one in every zone, and so I was like, oh shit, did I miss one? But no, they just respawned it. I actually should double check to make sure I got them all because they put them in random places, all over like in each of the zones. I think there's probably an achievement for finding them all. I don't think I've gotten it, so I should probably actually like check. I know I found them in a few zones. I'm not sure if it's one per zone or if that's a little weird, right? They left his like dead body over there. Yeah, it's like, and maybe that's it. Maybe the only time they've ever referred to Mikhail like they knew him was only Misha and Gallagher, which might make sense. But it felt like there were other moments where it was just like, where it made it really hard to tell when the revolution happened, because like it seemed like it was a prison plan a long, long time ago, and they made it seem like he created the dream like almost immediately after, like they did the revolution, the five families formed after the revolution, and then they created the dream immediately after. but they were fairly vague on the timeline of all that stuff.
ギャラガーと眠れるハウン宴への招待状。また会うことがあったら今度はあんまり謎めまた会うことがあったら最初に車掌さんからのお願いを聞いたとき、七死人は開拓の人間でいいことをしても名を残す。でも今は夢の地では
歴史は死者の名を残さないかもしれない。長い夜に訪れる最初だが、それによってブルックリン・ティエルナ、ラザリナ・ジェーン・エスデラ、レールを敷いた開拓者たち。
Oh, okay, so I guess it wasn't Jesse then. Yeah, Tiernan was the shadow creature that Acheron met. Rosalina, Jane, Estella. There's no way you'd... Yeah, there's no... Yeah. So who's Auntie Jessie then? Because like when we first... Acheron was talking about receiving flowers from a boy who said about something about Auntie Jessie. I assumed Auntie Jessie was the Trailblazer, Rosalina, but apparently not. Unless was Auntie Jessie the other NPC that we talked to who knew Rosalina? Or knew of her, perhaps? It was also the dream girl on the other end of this. Let's see if she's still there. Actually, let's talk to her. Where are you? I think it was a robot, wasn't she? There's the girl over here. Yeah. I mean, I did our side quest. Maybe she's no longer there. Not her, I don't think. That's not Jessie. Oh. What the hell was it? Who's Auntie Jessie then? Yeah, so then I guess that's kind of unknown. It's like... Yeah, because they were mentioning Auntie Jessie, and they made it seem like Auntie Jessie is, was the one who gave her Acheron flowers, which would make you think that it's someone who knew them all. But everyone should be long dead, not even if they didn't die prematurely, which some of them seem to have. They would be long dead just from age. Oh. Is there Jessie in here? Oh, there's Jessie. Okay, so Auntie Jessie's the bar owner then. Yeah, so like he tell the best stories using Clocky as the medium, so what the watchmaker, right? So the watchmaker was chilling. In the dream? Like, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of weird because obviously this is a dream, so like who knows? Maybe they're able to do crazy things. Like maybe Mikhail was like, oh, okay, well the real world sucks. I'm just gonna live in the dream. And maybe because this is a dream, maybe people have extended lifespans in the dream, or maybe because he made the dream, he's able to like, fuck about and do things that other people can't. So maybe he was able to extend his lifespan unnaturally long. Maybe he made Sauron's one ring in the dream and had an unnatural lifespan. Let's take a picture. Twins. Okay, what kind of idle pose do I got? Oh, can I do that one? No, okay. So I'm just too close to her. Let's see if I can have a shy face. Jesus Christ. That's her, that's her shy face. That's her shy face. There we go. But no, so this is relaxed. This is grumpy. Shy. Oh no, I saw her mouth. I saw her mouth move. Oh, I see. I don't need to click it. It just naturally happens when I. Why does she frown when she's shy? There's such a little difference between these. You can see it slightly. You can barely see her eyes, but her eyes though slightly change, and her mouth slightly changes too. Okay, well that's a. Okay, let's go that way. Just some macarons hanging out. Oh shit! I got her when she was blinking. There we go. Yeah. Normally I do her. I was going to try her doing her idol, but whatever. I guess I can't because I'm too close to the other Acheron. But that's the whole point of even taking the screenshot is because, yeah, that's why I kept it. Okay, let's go. Let's go poke the dead body again. Like, are they ever gonna like clean him up? Are they ever gonna like remove him? Are they just gonna leave this guy here for the rest of life? Oh shit! Oops. I wish they gave me the choice to go in here or not. Okay. Like it's a dream, so obviously like it doesn't really matter. You can leave him there. It's not like he's gonna rot, but it's still kind of weird, like just to leave a body in a wheelchair, just chilling out in the open.
すまないな、ミカさん。別れを言いに来るのが遅くなって。何言ってんだ。あんたたちは時計屋のために多くのこと。ドリームリーフの人々はこれからどうなる？多分ここに残るだろう。目を覚ましていることに慣れてる人が目を閉じて暗闇の中で生きて。
Or maybe that's it. Maybe Mikhail died ages ago, and he created. Like I was gonna say, he created a version of himself for the dream, but then it's kind of weird because like that's what Misha is. Misha is just a version of him, like a portion of himself that escaped that child's dream. Well, that's a weird wish for him. So Mikhail's like, oh yes, and in my last will and testament, please leave my body lying out in the open for posterity. I mean, like, I'm not. It's just odd. Like, you could put him in like a coffin, and just like you could still have him here. Just put him in a coffin, like off to the side. Just like make a statue in his honor or something. I mean, I do get that. Like, that's the whole concept, like, of getting a burial site that's like that has a good view. The idea is like, oh, okay, we're gonna bury them here, and it's on this hill that overlooks the lake. Oh, that's so nice. Like, they'll love just chilling and looking. And I get that, but like, you know, it's a dead dude just chilling in a chair. Like, you could I mean, it wasn't as big an issue before when you couldn't reach this place. It's only because like we did whatever we did, and that connected the path. So it's like, you could just unconnect the path. So people can't just walk up and poke the body. Because, I mean, it looks nice. I mean, I wouldn't mind being buried around here, but, like, it's like it's like, really? Like, you could put him in a nicer chair? Like, it's a wheelchair. Like, you could put him in an actual proper chair. Because, like, you could, like, steal the body. You could just, like, it's a wheelchair. You could, like, wheel him away. What happens if an earthquake happens? What happens if someone accidentally trips and smacks him, and then he wheels down the stairs, and then like wheels down that long pathway, crashes, and then now his dead body's just on the ground. Like, there are stairs right behind him. Anyone accidentally smacking into him could have him rolling down there. Yeah, so anyone can just like walk up to him. Now, perhaps because perhaps there's the idea that the path only exists because Mika's here. Mika reopens the path to the body only when he's going down the path. So we just happen to catch him at a moment where he's doing his shit, and that's why it's there. And so when he finishes tidying things up, he'll walk back, and the path will disappear. Okay, we could give him that. Maybe this whole area is kind of like his crypt, and normally it's not accessible. She calls her Mitsuki. That's Japanese for month. I mean, they're not. It's Japanese for month, or the month of March. March is Mitsuki. Mitsuki Nana is March 7th. Which is actually really interesting, because Mitsuki is an actual proper name. Like, there are actually Japanese people girls called Mitsuki. Like, it's a relatively normal Japanese name. That's why it's interesting that and actually both Mitsuki and Nana are both fairly common names. Like, Mitsuki Nana, like there could actually be a girl in Japan right now that is called Mitsuki Nana, and like people wouldn't be like, oh my god, what a weird name. Like it just sounds so weird for us, because like March, like no one's named March, and maybe there's a March, sure. Like I could see some weirdo naming their kid March. But like March 7th, like it's such a date, right? It's such a day of the month. Whereas in actual Japanese, I mean, like you could use the same, if you use the exact same kanji for March 7th, then the Japanese people would know you're literally calling them March 7th. But like there are other homophones for Japanese kanji that could yield the same phonetic structure. Although obviously they're using the Japanese kanji for March 7th, but like that's why it's not so crazy in Japanese. And I'm not sure what it is in Chinese either, but I'm pretty sure like it's not. If phonetically, it's probably not as uncommon a name as it is in English. Like I imagine whatever March 7th is, however they pronounce the kanji for March 7th in Chinese, probably there probably are real Chinese people with a name that sounds the same, but maybe uses different kanji. Same for Japan, but like there's just literally no one in English speaking countries that is called this. It is such a no one would ever call their kid this. So it sounds funnier in English, but yeah, it's the same thing for Firefly too. Firefly was called Hotaru, and when they were talking to her because that's the Japanese word for Firefly. So they actually call them by their Japanese names. Sometimes they match it up. Like I don't know if you play Genshin, but like Genshin's Ningguang is not actually called Ningguang. Like I think Ningguang is like Ryoko in Japanese because like Japan uses the same kanji, the same characters that China does. No, Hanabi is Sparkle. Hotaru is Firefly. Hanabi is Sparkle. Hanabi is actually just fireworks in Japanese. Hence all the fireworks she does. But I mean, but yeah. So like that's the interesting thing is that like this whatever kanji China uses for their characters, Japan uses the same ones, but they pronounce them differently because they're technically different languages. So you'll have them use the same kanji, and then like that's why Ningguang became like Ryoko and like Mitsuki, like because they're using the actual like kanji for March 7th to mean March 7th, and so that's just pronounced Mitsuki Nana in Japanese, and that's just what they call them. But there are some like localizations. Like Sparkle obviously was localized. I guess they just didn't want to call her Firework. I'm curious who gave that direction. Like was it MiHoYo was like themselves said, oh okay, well this is what we're gonna call her. This is what we want you to call her in English, or if they left it completely up to the localization people, or maybe the localization people came back to them and said, okay, here's a few like similar, like here's a few names that could be used as a kinda. I mean, Hime is probably the kanji for princess. Ko technically is the kanji for child, so you could say it's child princess. It's a little vague simply because Ko is a very 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 commonly used character for girl names. So that's why you have like Haruko, Natsuko, like you just add it to it. Like Fuyuko. And I mean, it technically means child, so it's like, yeah, Fuyuko is winter child, Natsuko is summer child, Haruko is spring child. So it's like, it's fairly common. You'll actually see, like, a lot of Japanese female Japanese names will end in ko. So you might not necessarily take it literally. It could just be like, oh no, we're just gonna, add it. Same for like, Ki as well. Like, I don't know if you watched Mahoka or a regular Magic High School, Miyuki. The Ki in Miyuki is the kanji for beauty, so you'll see a lot of female names with that kanji in it, simply because it's like, yeah, because it's beauty, and of course, what parent doesn't want their child to grow up and be beautiful? So there are some naming conventions like that. Sometimes they'll try to get meaning from what they are, like when they were born, what time of year they were born, to get some names. Sometimes they try to do their aspirations for the child. Sometimes it's more descriptive. Sometimes it's just like what they hope their child will become.
でもそれも全部過去のことなんだよね。
And then like Welt, of course, is just Welt. Like that he was always that because he's from Honkai Impact Third, so he left his name in English. Because I think he was still Welt in Chinese. I'm not sure actually. I've never actually seen the dialogue in Honkai Impact Third in its original Chinese, so I'm not sure if they actually just write it out in English whenever they call him. But
えばだけど、本を読んでる時、登場人物が次々と困難にあって、最後も後悔でいっぱいの結末を迎えたら複雑な気持ちにならない？
Well, I was actually surprised in this patch. Welt also, I mean, so there was always the idea, oh, he looks exactly the same as he did in Honkai Impact Third. He's named the exact same thing. When you first meet him, he does reference that he's from another world, and he does allude that he is that Honkai Impact Third Welt. And in this patch, he also did something which also didn't confirm it, but it did also heavily imply that he is the same one, because he was talking about the dream that the Order put them all in, and he was saying, oh, in his dream he went back to his old world, and for some reason Acheron popped into his mind at the time, which is like, oh, okay, well, Acheron is obviously Raiden Mei, right? I mean, in this game, it's Raiden. She had some sort of middle name, Mei, and in Honkai Impact Third, there is literally a Raiden Mei, who also has the power of thunder. In her Hersher of Thunder form, also has horns. Also in her Hersher of Thunder form, also has a humongous fucking sword. So there are a ton of similarities between the two of them. So him saying, "Hey, yeah, went back to my world and I met some buddies," and for some reason I was thinking of Acheron, who resembles Raiden Mei. And then he also mentioned her reaching a conclusion, which could be referencing Kiana becoming the Hersher of Finality and saving the world from Honkai in his original universe. Is that literally what they said? No, there's heavy implications, but yeah. So, it's just another extra little breadcrumb of, yeah, this Welt Yang is the same Welt Yang from the Honkai Impact Third universe. Now, does that actually matter or mean anything? No, not really. Like, okay, it's just the same guy. It's a nice little breadcrumb. Oh, cool, it's the same dude. Just like every time there's any sort of Raiden Mei-like character, everyone's like freaking out. It's like, oh my god! When like Raiden Shogun came out in Genshin, people are like, oh my god, it's very much like Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact Third. And so then when Acheron appeared, it's like, oh my god, it's another Raiden Mei from Honkai Impact Third. And then, of course, when her name was revealed, and she actually is Raiden Mei. Although, it's not super surprising, because like the whole point of Raiden is like the Rai in Raiden is thunder, is the kanji for thunder. So it's just like you're essentially just calling her like Thunder God. I think Raiden Mei is using the kanji for Thunder God. Let me just double check. What's her kanji? Oh no, it's just fuck, I forget which one that one was. So it's not Thunder God, but it definitely has thunder in it. Is it like both thunder? It's like both two types of thunder. I forget what that one was though, but either way, it was like, okay, so that's why like it's not surprising when they keep calling them that. Like even in like Mortal Kombat, right? There was Raiden. What it was Raiden? He was the Thunder God. Why? Because the Rai is thunder. Uses the Japanese kanji for thunder. So as naming goes, it's not that surprising, but it still is just it's an interesting little tidbit that just really doesn't mean anything. It's the same kind of like how Luocha in this game looks very, very, very much like who was that douche again? What was his name? But yeah, there was an antagonist in Honkai Impact Third who looked almost identical to Luocha. I think he just didn't. I think he still actually he did have blonde long hair, but he ended up being, he was a total asshole. He was just doing doing a lot of crazy shit, human experimentation, all this bullshit. Maybe for the greater good, but like probably it was ends justify the means a little too much, and his ends were not. It was more like he saved humanity as a byproduct instead of as the goal. He was aiming for something. He didn't really care how many people he suffered or died, and in the process, how ended up helping some people. But yeah, Luocha looked very much like him. Oh yeah, I remember his name now. Auto Apocalypse. Luocha looks incredibly similar to Auto Apocalypse. That's why I didn't pull on him, because Auto Apocalypse is a complete douche. No, and as also an interesting aside, Himiko is also in Honkai Impact Third. There is a Himiko. She is a an adult woman with long red hair. Obviously, their backstories are incredibly different, but it's just like, oh, she's called the exact same thing, and they both have they're both long haired redheads. So obviously there are a lot of similarities between some of the characters in the game. But Well was like the only one that's like, oh, this is quite literally the same dude. Like, we've written into the story that he's from another universe. That universe, probably Honkai Impact Third's universe. Yeah. I would imagine that's kind of like the Galaxy Ranger type thing. That seems like a Galaxy Ranger vibe, but it's hard to say because like we've only ever met him, and even though those other Galaxy Rangers popped in for 2.2 to help us, like they just disappeared again. But it seems like they all are kind of just like wander around the universe doing whatever they want. It's like galactic bounty hunters, except not as like shady as like Star Wars bounty hunters.
そうね。私たちはみんなその問いの答えを探しているんじゃない。銀河は広く、生命は小さい。開拓の足跡は止まることはないけど。
There's also a lot of people worried about Himiko, because Himiko dies in Honkai Impact Third relatively early on into the series. Relatively, maybe in the first year of the game or something like that. So there's always people worried, like, oh shit, is Himiko gonna die in this? Hopefully not, I really like her. So far no one's really died, so... Well, except for this dude. This dead body.
彼らの物語。ミハイルが私たちに残したものは、この問いに対する彼の答えなの。それは完璧。一方で、その意味は後に続く私たちが解釈することになる。重要なのは答えじゃなくて、他の人の答えからうちらが何を得られるか。え、それが開拓よ。ごめんね。なんか重い雰囲気にしちゃって。ほら、タンコ。
今から先のことを考えるのは決して悪いことじゃない。いつかは俺たちも別れに向き合うことになるだろうからな。
だが、それまでは長い道のりを共に歩んでいくことになる。
そうね。そして今、一番大事なのはピノコニーでの体験を車掌に伝えることよ。
Yeah, I mean that's how Himiko died in Honkai Impact Third. She died to save Kiana from herself as she was being taken over by the Herrscher of the Void. I mean, there's a cinematic cutscene for it. I mean, I would recommend watching it. It's a good one. It's a good read. Honkai Impact Third had some interesting animations for its cutscenes. They were kind of not amazing, like quality-wise. If they feel like a little off, like they're a little too grainy or something, or like washed out. They're not like well defined. Like stylistically, they're not like artistically well. Like the borders are not well defined, but still they're really interesting. And they have, I mean, Mihaly has done great music, so there's a lot of good music in the game. For all their games, really. Final goodbye to Acheron, but I am Acheron.
ピノコニーに来たばかりの頃のことを覚えているか？あの時は私たちの旅がこんな形で交差。いや、旅の目的からしてこの広大なだが、開拓の先には未知が広がっていて、私の刀は簡単に言うと、私は虚無の呪いを受けた自滅者だ。私の故郷自滅の結末に抗うため、私は旅に出て虚無を断ち切る方法を探していたんだ。そして長い探索の末、私の探し求める場所は現実と虚無を隔つ。そこには第9機関という秘密が隠されている。いつの日か私はきっとそこにたどり着くだろう。ああ、そういえば失礼を詫びなければならないな。自滅の呪いのせいで私の記憶は断片的に剥がれ落ち、過去がぼい。それはどういう意味だ？あなたが私の過去と関係があるはずがない。
Because I think I might have seen someone like you. Is this obviously trying to?
そうか。あなたも似たような経験が。
Is this trying to reference Honkai Impact Third or maybe even Genshin?
遠い昔、私にもあなたと同じように、それでも。
But it's hard to say. It's obviously way too vague to draw any conclusions.
だが、この光景は彼らがこの宇宙には似て非なる世界が無数にあり、私も孤独な旅をしてきた。
And that's the kind of tough thing too about Honkai Impact Third. It got way too weird. Like it started with like this main story, and I was like, okay, cool. They kept along that main story, and then they had like little subplots. Some of them kind of boring, some of them kind of interesting. And then like they kind of beat the main. They beat Auto Apocalypse, and like, and then it just got weird. Like, oh, now we're gonna go into Bubble Universe, and it was already kind of weird. They kind of like brought up other universes even then, and we're like universe hopping and like hopping between bubble universes and shit, and then like we beat Auto Apocalypse, and then it was like, oh, okay, and now it's a lot more like various bubble universes, and then they like started this whole new like plot arc with completely new characters set like sometime after the proper resolution of the first part of Honkai Impact Third. It was weird. I think I was already kind of like getting a little. It was just so confusing and so like just. Like it not interconnected at all. Like even like there were some parts where it really wasn't that connected even in the beginning. Like it was mostly connected. Like, oh, okay, cool. Here's some connections, and then it was like, well, okay, then this happened. And like it doesn't. It's kind of vaguely connected, kind of. It's like, yeah, sure. I guess this is kind of happening one after the other. But then like they bring up these like subplots that like don't really have anything to do with anything. But it was like, oh, well, during this patch, like we are doing this thing with this person. I'm like, why? Like, okay, I mean, I guess, sure, but it's not really like fleshing out the universe that much. And then at some points they were just like, fuck it, we're not even dealing with these characters at all. We're just gonna go, or we're gonna have like one character appear in another dimension for some reason, for no reason. And then there was the whole like Flame Chaser arc where it was like, oh, now we're just in like a virtual reality, and here are some people who may have existed like 50,000 years ago, and we're just gonna go through this virtual reality sim world, and none of this really means anything. It was just super confusing. Where it was just like, yeah, I guess it's kind of vaguely connected, but like, yeah, that's what it got kind of weird. Hopefully Genshin won't do that, but I think Genshin has a pretty good storyline to keep it going. At least general plot. I am worried after like we finally get to Conria and beat the Heavenly Principles. It's not even a artistic license. They do explain it. It just didn't really like relate to anything. It was just like, oh, okay, we have this thing. And yeah, there definitely was some like, oh, we're going to leave things vague enough so people can kind of like wonder why, and we'll drop little breadcrumbs in here and there. But like most of the time, they did have like a proper plot, beginning, middle, and end of their story. But at the end of the day, it was just like, well, this story doesn't matter really that much. Like, it doesn't really change anything. It doesn't really do anything. Like, it didn't really affect the overarching plot of the game. So it was like, well, why did it exist? I mean, it was fun, sure. I mean, it was enjoyable. It had some interesting moments, but it was like you could have cut it, and it wouldn't have really changed anything with the overarching plot. And so just, and it's fine if you do like some fun stuff here and then, but it was just like a lot of moments like that where it was like they would go through multiple patches, and some of it was like a character building arc. But I think the biggest thing that kind of just was a killer for Honkai Impact Third for me was just the fact that like they started the game with saying, "Oh, Herschers are really dangerous. They're the enemies of humanity because they are chock full of Honkai power, and the Honkai energy is destroying the world. And anytime a Hersher appears, it fucks us all over." And there was one good Hersher of Reason, who is also actually Yang. Yang was one of the Hershers of Reason, who gives his Hersher core to Bronya. Oh yeah, Bronya existed in Honkai Impact Third too. Except most of the Bronyas looked like the Silverwolf version. Only the another Honkai story within Honkai Impact Third had a version that looked like the adult Bronya from Bellabog. And it was like, oh, okay, Hershers are bad. And then it was like, oh, and that was like how Himiko died, is that Kiana was developed, like bred or experimented on to instill her with the power of a Hersher, and they instilled her with the power of the Hersher of the Void. And Hersher of the Void was essentially taking over Kiana, and Himiko died fighting her to make her come to her senses. And then the next few patch was like, oh, okay, Kiana's like slowly being taken over by the Hersher of the Void, and then kind of comes to terms with it. And so, but then like they just start throwing around Hershers all over the place. Everyone's a Hersher at that point. Like I mean, it was a slow thing. It was slowly at first, but then it was just like, oh, now Raiden May is a Hersher, and I mean Bronya was already kind of Bronya becomes better with her Hersher powers, and then we meet the Hersher of Ice, which actually true to the original game's form was Hersher of Ice was an actual enemy of humanity who you had to fight, and the Hersher took over this woman, and she froze everybody and became a danger to humanity, so they had to stop her. So it's like, oh, cool. But like pretty much only like 10% of the Hershers you meet are bad, because they're just like they're somehow good. The Hersher of Ice, Hersher of Domination. You could say the Hersher of Sentience kind of started out as bad, but like it wasn't really like Fuwa was like had her own Hersher. Did she have a Hersher form? Well, she recently got a Hersher form, and it was just like all of them became Hershers, and like we had and the Hersher of Wind too, who was like Seele, but then they kind of dropped the plot on that. Oh yeah, and Seele also exists in Honkai Impact Third. And like Seele got Hersher powers. And then it was just like, and then they got like a variety of Hersher powers. Like Kiana started as a Hersher of the Void, but then she like combined the Hersher of Thunder and Reason together and became Hersher of Flame Shion or something. And then she got another Hersher power on top of that. So she's like, was 3 or 4 Hershers over the course of like a few years of the game. And like even Raiden May was Hersher of Thunder, but then she also got another Hersher power. Same for Bronya. Bronya was a Hersher of Reason, but then she got another Hersher power. Then like Seele, I think she was a Hersher, but then she got another power, a Hersher power as well. It was just like, it was just so weird. Like, because it's like they're just giving new skins, essentially, new skins and powers to the character, so you could roll for them. But it was just like everyone was like they just dropped. It just like devalued the concept of a Hersher. It was like, and that was like the core of the beginning part of the game. And like even still, the end of the game was like them defeating the Honkai energy that was like leaking into the world and destroying it. So it's like Honkai is bad, but somehow everyone's a Hersher for some reason, which is like supposedly the epitome of the Hersher power, of Honkai power. So it's like, it was weird. And then it was like lots of little weird like subplots. It's like between like lots of little moments. Like one part, like there was a few chapters, like a few patches where it was like, oh, it was all about Fuwa and developing the Hersher of sentience, who then like breaks out of her and like does her own thing, but is still kind of a not bad person. And so it's like, cool, we learned more about Fu Hua, and I'm like, okay, but like that's 3 patches worth. Like 3 patches is with the same 6-week patch cycle. It's like a lot of time spent into this. When Auto Apocalypse like was the big bad, he was the big bad at the very beginning of the game. He's the big bad at the very end of the game. Well, kind of at the very near to the end of the game. Technically, another one pops out who kind of was like, oh, okay, he's this guy, and he's just doing it for a reason. And it was just, it's kind of, there's just a lot of like little asides which are fun in and of themselves, but like aren't really driving the plot forward and really don't matter too much, and it just feels kind of out of place. And some of them just were weird. Like one of the more recent ones, before they did the whole part 2 of the story, was like, we go to a bubble universe, and in the bubble universe, we actually no, I think there was 2 iterations of the bubble universe. Yeah, we had like 2 bubble universes back to back, just completely separate ones, where it's like, oh, we go into here, and there's a light and dark side of this world, and for the other one, it was like, oh no, now you're this person, and now you're Fu Hua meeting these little Vitas, and like it's weird, like made no sense. Like it, like is this the real world? Is this fake world? Like you tie in some of this and that, but like, yeah, it just kind of weird. So yeah, the story for that kind of got, well, it wasn't exactly that, but like, I mean, Auto Apocalypse was always kind of an asshole. Like everything he did was an asshole. He was just, well, not everything he did. Like he led a group that was battling Honkai, but in the process of doing this, he was doing human experimentation and just like fucking over the world and just basically, using his power for himself. And what he was trying to use his power for was to go back in time and save this girl that he knew, who was essentially killed as a witch. And this is like 500 years ago, because apparently he's lived for 500 years or something like that. And she was killed as a witch, and he wants to essentially go back in time to unkill her, right? So he's like developing all this power and technology so that he can like rewrite the laws of history and create a universe where she lived. And he doesn't care how he does it and how many people have to suffer for this to happen. And then they stopped with that, and it's like, okay, cool. He was an asshole through and through. Cool, nice. I mean, in the sense that, like, yeah, he is a villain. You can understand his motivations, but he still, like, ends justify the means for him, and he was just kind of a dick. And then it was like, oh, okay, now we're back to the beating the Honkai plot that we kind of forgot about for the past few years. And then it was like, oh, actually, this one guy, we're going to fight him. He was the one who tried to stop this problem 50,000 years ago, but failed, and now the universe is on a loop again to going down the same path. So now he's there to try to, like, fix it in his own way, to try something new, but then, through the power of friendship, Kiana, Raiden, and Bronya are able to stop him, and finally Kiana develops, oh yeah, that was it. Kiana develops her, like, 4th Hersher ability, becoming the Hersher of Finality, and is able to, like, take over the Honkai core of the universe and stop it from, stopping it from leaking energy to fuck over the world. Cool. Problem solved. Hooray. But it was, like, kind of weird because it's like, oh, okay, like, Auto Apocalypse was always there, even in the beginning parts of it. And yeah, Honkai was always there too. But, like, there was, like, it just kind of, like, was dropped on you at the last moment where it's like, oh yeah, by the way, Kevin's here. Kevin's one of the Flame Chasers. That was part of this other arc and is part of this, like, weekly simulated universe type thing that you do every single week, and had its own little subplot that was not tied to the story. But then they create an actual patch revolving around those people who were just like a weekly thing you did. But then they're like, nah, let's actually use those characters in its own patch content as a story for the patch. Yeah, and then have, oh hey, let's have one of them. And then, like, they popped up too. Like, there were some other things in the bubble universes where it's like, oh look, it's this person who's related to these people who are Flame Chasers, and it's like, what? Like, I thought they lived 50,000 years ago. How is Grisaya still popping? How is she show up in this bubble universe? Like, what? Like, so yeah, like, a lot of weird stuff, because it's like it's dealing with, like, multiple worlds, the Sea of Quanta, all sorts of weird stuff, weird, like, shit. That's what I'm kind of worried. Like, if Genshin finally finishes the Conria arc and we beat the Heavenly Principles, then it's like, well, logically you'd think, oh, well, once we're with our brother and we can fly around, are they going to have us like fly to other worlds? And in which case, is it going to get like crazy and silly with all these like bubble universes and stuff, or will they keep it relatively simple, like of us just flying to a new world, and then we spend a few more years, exploring continents on this new world? Because it was like, because that was the thing. It was like we were seeing these in Honkai Impact 3. It was like we're going to these bubble universes, and sure, it might last for like 1 to 3 patches, but that's still like 1 to 3 6-week patches. So like for a few months, for like 4 to 6 months, you're just like in this bubble universe, and then they're just like, okay, now we're not there anymore. Like, who gives a shit about that universe now? Like, so it was, yeah, kind of. It was fun enough to do, but like, yeah, overall, it just doesn't really leave you satisfied. So luckily, this game seems to be pretty. Yeah, well, yeah. Because like obviously, I mean, I don't know if you ever watch. I don't know if you play Genshin and had watched the video. Genshin Mihayo released a video before Genshin released that basically told us the countries we were going to, some of the characters, and the order we do them in. So like there was a thing where it was like, oh, Chapter 0, Mondstadt, and they showed a few splash art of some of the characters. Then they're like, oh, Chapter 1, Leeway, and they showed some characters. Chapter 2, Inazuma. Chapter 3, Sumeru, Fontaine, Natlan. Even in the Fontaine one, they showed Lynette and Lyney. They showed splash art of Lynette and Lily in Fontaine. This was before Genshin released, over 3 years ago. They showed Lynette and Lyney then. They showed Ayaka in the splash art when Inazuma was shown. They showed this like weird little girl. There's this weird little girl who we were thinking, oh, are we going to have like a fist user? Like they showed Sino too. When Sumeru was there, they showed Sino. When Natlan appeared, they showed this little girl. She's is plunging down into the ground with her fist down. So that's why people were thinking, oh, is Genshin going to get a fist character? But it seemed like she might just be a catalyst user, like Ria Thessaly is, and just use his fists or use her fists. But so yeah, like we met this girl. Then they said, oh, and then we're going to Snezhnaya, and then we're going to Conria, like chapter 5 or 6, something like that. It was Conria, and then they had another chapter. It was like question marks and stuff like that. So they already had like a game plan of what's going to happen. They even showed some of the characters from the regions we're going to, even before the game released. Well, officially released. Obviously, there were betas by that point, but so they have a pretty good game plan for it. And so maybe Honkai they ran out of shit to do. Maybe they didn't have a game plan all set, and so they kind of went on tangents. But like Genshin's shown that they've been pretty good story-wise. Honkai Star Rail's also been pretty good. Like, I think also Honkai Star Rail is a little better because like Honkai Impact 3 was, I don't know. I guess there was some silliness. Like that was the weird thing. The dichotomy of the story was the characters. Like they had all these like side events, and like they're all like very silly and fun, like meaningless side events. But then the story of the game is like super serious. There's like super serious shit going down, and then like they have these summer events where you're doing these silly things, which is like it's just a weird difference where you're just going from super serious story to super silly content. Whereas Honkai, I guess Honkai has the same thing, but like Honkai even has silliness in the actual main story. Perhaps. I mean, Honkai Impact 3 was like the beginning, kind of the beginning. Technically, they had another game, Honkai Gakuen, before Honkai Impact 3, so it's possible that like this was the beginning of their company. They, maybe they had a guy who stayed on for a year, and then like they had to swap. Like he left the company and got a new one, so maybe there was a change of hands in their narrative design, and then they made enough money to do Genshin, and they've kept the same maybe lead narrative designer for that game for the entire time, or maybe he's like, and then and same for Honkai Star Rail. So hopefully, so far, like obviously I'm being like doom and gloom about that, and then like so maybe the Honkai Impact 3 second part that they just did a refresh on. So like they just started the story fresh. So it's like maybe that will be better. Although I don't know, like, it's an action combat game, so I'm not super into it either. And it's not really super pay to win, but it's kind of annoying. It's annoying. It's annoying in the same way Zenless Zone Zero is going to be, where there is this content. There's like when it's an action combat game where a lot of the like weekly and daily shit you have to do is timed, where it's like, okay, do this thing. Here's a time limit to do it. And some of like the weekly challenges to get like the in-game currency and shit is like, okay, you only have this amount of time, or you have to beat the faster you beat it, the higher your points you get are, and the higher your points are, the higher rank you get, and the higher rank you are, the more rewards you get. But the problem comes down to, in those type of events, they would also have the enemies would have elemental weaknesses and resistances, and I hate resistances. I hate enemies with elemental or with resistances in general, because like elemental weaknesses is fine. You know, oh, okay, he's an elemental weakness, sure. Like, he's weak to thunder, cool. You're encouraged to use a thunder character, but you don't have to, right? It's like, oh, I haven't built any thunder characters. I'm just going to do my ice characters. Or I'm going to do my fire characters. I like using my fire characters or ice characters. I'm going to do that instead. No problem, right? Like, sure, you might have an easier time if you use thunder, but, you know, no harm, no foul. But the problem is when you introduce resistances, it's now like, oh, we're encouraging you to use this one element and punishing you for using this element. And in a gacha game where it's like, okay, well, to have these characters, you have to like spend money for the most part to have like the type advantage, or to be able to use that type. But you could be like, whatever. Like if it's Honkai, it doesn't really matter because like it plays the same. But the problem with like Zenless Zone Zero and Honkai Impact Third is that every character plays slightly differently, and you could just have characters you don't like. Like at Honkai Impact Third, I really liked the ice characters. I used Bronya. Actually, I used Little and Big Bronya and the Cat Girl. And they're all ice, and they synergized really well together, and I really liked them. I really liked their playstyle. I knew it really well. But there are just times where you're just like, oh, whoops, here's this weekly content. They're resistant to ice, so you can't use these guys because you just won't be able to beat them in time. Or you can, but you'll take like 3 times as long as you would normally do it, which is just like fucking annoying. And I just don't like it. It feels like shit. And I just don't like other characters. Like my ice team is the one I'm most comfortable with. Thunder is my next one. I'm not really good with any fire characters. Like I just don't like the playstyle of any of them or have them built well enough to like be useful. And I mean, physical is kind of shit. But I guess I have some characters that are okay with physical. I guess actually maybe I'm best with ice, then physical, then thunder, then fire. But like the problem is physical. There's never anything that's like weak to physical. It's always just it's weak to one of the 3 elements: ice, fire, and thunder. So it's like, yeah, I have a 1 in 3 chance of just being screwed if they're resistant to my element. And Zenless Zone Zero is doing the same thing, where they're going to have enemies that are weak to elements and resistant to others. And that will just suck, because what happens if you get a character that you really like and you just want to play as that character only, but now because of these resistances you can't? Or you can, but now the game feels less fun because it takes you twice as long to do something you could do with another character. And it's a tough balancing act. Obviously, it's like, oh, it's encouraging you to play other characters. Maybe you might try this other character and like it, but like, sure, that's fine. But like, what happens if you try out those other characters and you absolutely hate them, and you just don't want to play other characters, or you just really like the aesthetic of one character? Like that's the kind of cool thing about this game, for the most part. Like, there's a lot of good-looking characters, and you can kind of make other teams work. Same for Genshin too. Like you don't really. Like, the enemies actually do have resistances. Yeah. And, like, for the most part, enemies don't have resistances, but then you do get, like, the ones that are immune, like Fire Slimes and Fire Abyss Mages. Sure, like, if you have to fight a pile of Fire Slimes and Fire Abyss Mages with Arlecchino, you're screwed. And so you can't use her. But, like, for the most part, like, even if you have, like, an Arlecchino team, so, like, my Arlecchino team is Arlecchino, Yelan, Xingqiu, and Toma. So even if I fought Fire slimes and thing, I could still do damage and kill them with my just Yelan and Xingqiu by themselves. So like, even if there are things that could screw you over just because of like immunities or just resistances, like you're usually working around a party comp, and usually the party comp can do well enough and won't be completely screwed. Because, I mean, there's obviously some exceptions. Like, there are some mono water teams. So, obviously, if you're a mono water team against, Hydro Slimes and Hydro Abyss Mages, yeah, sure, you're screwed. We all get that. But, like, for the most part, usually it's like you build a party you really like, and if there's a good synergy, if it's good, like, it has a variety of elemental reactions, like, maybe you have, Kaya and Zhengling together, so you can get your melts by yourself, so you don't need to rely on enemy weaknesses, and the melts will just do a shitload of damage. So like Genshin's like one of those things where it's like, yeah, you can essentially play whoever you want. Now, obviously, yeah, Spiral Abyss kinda encourages you, but that's the whole thing. It's more that it encourages you to play as the limited time banner character because they put a buff in the Spiral Abyss that's really tailored to one particular character. It's not like it screws you over. It's not like, oh, we put a buff that makes... It's not like they go, oh, hey, by the way, we put a buff in that it makes all enemies immune to fire, right? Like, or resistant to fire. No, it's usually just something of, hey, we're going to make them super weak to this type of playstyle, which just happens to coincide with the character we just released, right? It's the same thing where I was like saying, like, yeah, I don't mind enemies having elemental weaknesses. Like, if Honkai Impact 3rd or Zenless Zone Zero just wanted to have elemental weaknesses, that's fine. It's a subtle way of encouraging you to play this type of character. Whatever, right? It's just the resistances which fuck you over and just make it not fun. And Genshin's like, yeah, it doesn't matter. Like, you could be whatever you could be whatever character you want, whatever character you like. You can essentially like clear all content with the right party member and right, if you've built them correctly. And that's why I like. Same for like even Wuthering Waves. I think I'm not 100% sure because I think their equivalent of Spiral Abyss also has resistances, maybe, or weaknesses, perhaps. I forget, but I think it's more about the party comp. Actually, I think there are some. Oh, actually, well, yeah, there are some things that are immune. They have like they have their equivalent of like slimes, which are these like little spiky balls, and whatever element the spiky ball is, they'll be immune to that element. So yeah, there's that. But like for the most part, it's just like, yeah, if you have a good party comp, it doesn't really matter what element you are. And so that's why Honkai Impact 3 is kind of like, eh. And Zenless Zone Zero is the same way. I played the beta, and I got to that part, and it also is kind of boring. So the story wasn't super engaging. And then the fact that I was already seeing that, yeah, some of the in-game activities or some of the weekly activities were just kind of like dull and took too long. Although supposedly, I think I heard they did shorten some of them, but even still, the fact that you have to work around elemental weaknesses and resistances is just a pain in the butt. And I think they didn't have controller support too, so I was like, I don't want to play this on mouse and keyboard. But maybe I would like it better on controller. But even still, like that's just kind of meh. Deja vu means we should kiss.
それは外的なものではなく、私たち自身から来ているもの。過去のある時点から時を超えてきた感情だ。それは温かくて楽しいものかもしれないし、辛くて悲しいものかもしれない。 だが過去を振り返ってみたとき、そこにはいつも小さいながら忘れがたい瞬間と、その中で永遠に変わらないものが残っているものだ。それらは私たちの人生のまとめであり、その時間における私たちはそこから自分自身を見つめ、そして存在することができる。この物語に登場する人たちは皆、自らの人生の意味を宿す者のために勇敢に、さあ振り返ることなく行くがいい。開拓進行形を歩む。
Ooh, that's a nice screenshot.
すでに結末が決まっていたとしても構うことはない。だがその前に結末に向かうまでに、そして結末、それこそが旅で得られる美しいもの。私たちが太陽の下で再会するまで、それは虚無の果てで栄えていると。
It's crazy to think that that was actually just an optional part of that story. Like there was the option of, hey, go directly to the Astral Express, or you could talk to Acheron as an optional thing. It's crazy that that entire conversation could be completely skipped if someone chose. Like, I mean, I guess it's whatever. Like if you want to skip something, skip it. But like it's crazy to think that people might do that. Have them all? Oh shit, I'm missing a lot. Also, why the hell does this have so much music? Jesus Christ. Like, look at the size of the bar. It's like it's getting to the line of the second song. This gets the like the line of the third song. This gets the line of the fourth. It's like, yeah, so it's, I mean, I guess it's getting bigger each time, right? So this is like half of the songs. This is oh, it's actually the line of the fourth for both of these. And then this one, oh, actually, no, I guess it's about the same too. Get to the line of the fourth. Oh wait, no. That's just the default. So if I bring it down to the very bottom, it's almost over halfway up the first song. This one, I go all the way to the bottom. Yeah, so it already goes past that first song. How about you? Yeah, it's past 2.5 songs. So this was just one and a third. It's 2.5, and this is 3 and a third, and this was like a half. So there's like a shitload more songs in Penacony. Yeah, it's like about like 3/5 of a song. I mean, obviously they did have that huge, big orchestra. There's no one visiting. They did have that huge, big orchestra where they had Robin sing her two songs, as well as like, I mean, I guess all the songs too, not just Penacony ones, but still. They do their music well. think so. I'm not sure if that was actually going in line with the music. I wasn't paying attention.
横で黙って見てるだけよりマシだと思うけど。そんなわけないでしょ。ふざけてないで、あんたもパムを慰めてあげてよ。今回の冒険について話したら急に泣き出しちゃったの。パムがこんなに悲しんでるとこ初めて見た。
Yeah. They do a lot of cool little details. It's surprising how many little weird achievements and silly little things they add into the game.
列車がどこかに停車するたびバカ騒ぎしようって。俺が予定した発車時刻など誰も守ろうとせん。このままそう。俺は怒っとるだけじゃ。ミーシャ、ティエルナン、ラザリナたちのことなんか。
大丈夫。泣きたいだけ泣きな。
Yeah, that is the other weird thing too. Like, obviously this guy knew them, right? But like, didn't this all happen like 1,000 years ago? How old is Pom Pom? Or is he just like an immortal? Is he a robot? Or is he just a long-lived race that we're just not aware of?
みんな、隣の車両で少し休んでいてもらえる？心配しないで。パブには私がついて。でも。
行こう、美月。
大丈夫。泣きたいだけ泣きなさい、パム。
Like Bubbles. I gotta keep Bubbles. Hey, Bubbles.
パムがあんな反応するなんて。
パムにとってあの3人の七死人はとても大切な仲間だったんだろうな。
パムがいつから列車に乗っているのかは誰も知らないが、これまでの長い旅で俺たちには想像もできないほど多くの。
I guess that's the other odd thing too about Himiko. Like, because they said Himiko revived the train. So maybe the train, was inactive after the Penacony thing. So like there was other Trailblazers, and then like 20 years ago, Himiko found the train and revived it. Maybe that's what happened. Maybe the train went inactive once Akaveli died, but we're not really sure when Akaveli the Aeon disappeared. Or maybe they did tell us. I forget. I don't think so though. I think they just said it's dead, but we don't know how or why or when.
あんな風に声を上げて泣けるのはむしろいいことだと俺は思う。慰めるのは姫子に任せよう。さっきのパムは感情的になっていたが、君が列車に加わってからというもの、それぞれの目的地で予定よりも長く。
なるほど。だからパムはいつも廊下を不安そうにやる。
車掌さん、うちらのためにずっと黙々と頑張ってくれてたんだ。
Wait, what? That makes no sense. Like, why would we run out of fuel doing nothing? Unless you're saying we use fuel to stay idle, but like, how would we use less fuel moving. Like even if the train was like, oh yeah, we're gonna stop here for 5 minutes, then move. Like you'd think all the warp jumps would take up more fuel. So unless of course they mean they do consume fuel, but when they're moving, there are convenient like gas stations or whatever that they always manage to hit while they're jump in between jumps. But because we're idle, we're using up fuel and we're not near a gas station. I'm not sure. It's kind of weird. Oh, I see. Oh, okay. No, they just thought I'd explain it for me. Okay, that makes sense then. I see. So it's converting our Trailblaze energy into energy, but because we're spending so much time at a location, we're not trailblazing enough. And it's the expedition itself. I mean, you'd think all the shit we did here would be like a big pile of Trailblaze energy.
それってかなりやば。そう言われるとそこまで悲惨じゃないように。また宇宙を漂う美少女
I should have chosen the other one.
つまり次の目的地を
製図を確認したが比較的近くにある世界は
Interesting. I'm pretty sure the Agate World, Melistan, and I think actually no, they mentioned both of these in the dream. The Melistanin, I think, was the first Stellaron explosion or whatever, and Lushaka, I think, was just a nice place. There was something we could do something specific on each one. I know Melistan was the first Stellaron one. Is that Jade? Oh no, yeah, I forgot about her. I forgot she was still here. Oh yeah, I think she was the one who mentioned the third planet. There were 4 planets they mentioned total.
Memo Keeper. 君がどうやって列車に乗り込んだかはともかくとして。
列車が燃料を得る方法、本当はちゃんと話をして。
言いたいことがあるならはっきり。
普及の光栄。本当に魅力的な竜ね。特に本題に入りましょう。請求列車が今エンジンに動力を補充するために考えたことはある？この旅の目的地はあなたたちが宇宙に新たなレールを敷くことができれば列車は二度とエネルギーの心配をしなくてよくなるでしょうね。
Yeah, I mean, pretty much most of I can't think of. I guess there are some English VAs which I don't mind as much, but like I really dislike Kafka's English VA. Kafka sounds far too sleepy. I think Silverwolf doesn't sound deadpan enough in English. Just generally, the Japanese ones are just better. Like there's just there's just a slight tone thing that doesn't sound as good. Akron sounds weird too. Like she's just kind of like they just all feel a little off. I think March actually is probably the one that sounds the best English wise because like her Japanese VA and her English VA have the same kind of tone, and that's like the correct one. I think Dan Hung actually is okay too. I can't remember if I've heard people as the Trailblazer. I think Welt wasn't too bad, but I think Welt's tone was a little off too. I think March and Dan were probably the closest to being in line with their Japanese counterparts, but everyone else is slightly off. And Kafka is the one I think is the worst. I don't know. Maybe not the worst. It's not like she's like super bad, but like I just don't like that tone. It just does not sound like her Japanese tone.
存在を知らない外部からは観測することすら難しいガーデンの鏡にしか三重の運命によって縛られ
Yeah, because like the Japanese one just sounds so like peaceful and ethereal, but like the English one just doesn't sound like it's a little Like it's a soft. I think the Japanese one is a little soft, has a softer tone, and I think the English one's a little harder, a little firmer, harsher tone, slightly.
永遠の地オンパロス。会いに来るのが遅く。
あなたが来るとは意外ですね。
I mean, that seems excessive. What can he do? Also, what are those chains? Is that Jade's purple power, or is that some other
ファ
power?
ミリーがどれだけ警備を固めているか。あなたをここ何を言っているのかよくわかる。
交渉、尋問。あるいはなぜ今になって死にゆく者に口を
祭壇から転げ落ちてもその態度は変わらないのね。
そのような謎めいた言葉で私の尊厳を傷つけるのはやめ。
そんなわけないでしょう。私が来たのはあなた。
ロビンの
誰もが平和を享受できる真の楽園を築く。その約束を果たせるチャンスがまだあると言っこれがとても重い質問だということ。行きなさい。あなたは自由よ。己の本分を超えようとした
あなたたちの慈悲など。
言ったでしょ。これは取引だって。それに今すぐ答える。あ、最後にもう一つ言葉を送ってあげる。人生は辛く短い。
Very suspicious. Oh, Robin couldn't visit. Sparkle couldn't even visit us? Yeah, they really just dump them all at the very end. So yeah, that's it. That's interesting. We'll see how that shakes out. Obviously, we're going to go to that new place. Hard to say. Who knows what that will go into.
journey. The way to celebrate, I'll be waiting till we make it. The day to celebrate, I'll be waiting till we make it. Oh, we will see. Come with me, take the journey. We will see. Come with me, take the journey. The way to celebrate, I'll be waiting till we make it. The day to celebrate, I'll be waiting till we make it. Oh, we will see. Come with me, take the journey. Oh.
Ah, shit. Okay, whatever. Oh, 2 4-stars, though. I think I need that light cone, though.
I'll be waiting till we make it the day to celebrate. I'll be waiting till we make it. Oh, we will see. Come with me, take the journey. We will see. Come with me, take the journey. The way to celebrate. I'll be waiting.
Yeah, of course. Who doesn't buy every single character in Light Code possible? Oh yeah, I mean, some of these are obviously like this one, this one, uh, this one, and this one are all are Hershey's ones. And then of course even though it's a 75% chance, I have actually lost 50/50s on the light cone banners. Not often, obviously, because it's only 75% chance. And I've gotten light cones from the standard banner too. And I think I've used some of that like weird star glitter currency to buy. I think the buy league one because I just needed a better healing light cone. I think welts as well. But yeah, generally I try to save up enough so I can get the character and their personal light cone. Obviously, because it's just better for them. But I think that I will call it a day. Managed to finish the 2.3 story. It was it was interesting, but I wouldn't say it's nowhere near as good as 2.2. 2.2 was definitely a lot more epic, but I do get that they are setting things up. So like they haven't finalized all the negotiation with the IPC and Penacony, so who knows what kind of crazy shit might happen. Maybe that old Pepeshi is going to do something weird or something interesting in the next patch. But so I'm looking forward to it, and the game is fun. And I actually haven't unlocked all the extra little bonus shit, other end game event type stuff, but I want to at least do the story. And it was nice chatting with you, but I'm going to go ahead and log off for now. But thank you all for watching. I will see you all